Next up on the Caddie Tales, we have the heavily anticipated interview with Ken Comboy, Caddie of the Year 2010.
2010, a long time ago.
You have been Graeme McDowell's Caddie for 17 years. 17
years, yep. That's 2006.
Longer than most marriages.
That's it, yeah. It's longer than his marriage at the moment, so yeah, hopefully, many more years to come. It's been good fun, so we'll carry on.
How would you describe your relationship with Graeme?
Well, a bit like a married couple, you know, we're very good friends. We've sort of experienced pretty much everything there is to experience in golf together on the golf course. You know, the highs and the lows, and across a long career together. You know, I think off the course we're very friendly, and I'm sure you've heard from the other caddies' tales that there's a lot more to caddying than the actual golf side of things, and you get very much intertwined in your lives, and my family cross over to his family, and we live the highs and we live the lows together. Unfortunately, there's been plenty of highs, so it's been a pretty good ride.
What has been your favourite win together?
I think, well, obviously, you know, my mind immediately jumps to the 2010 US Open, which was something that I think both of us only dreamed it was possible, but we didn't really consider it could become a reality. And then all of a sudden, you know, he was playing phenomenal golf, and he'd won the Welsh Open 2 weeks prior to arriving there, and he turned up and continued his great form. And before you know it, you're on the back nine on Sunday and you've a chance to win a major championship, and the leaderboard's stacked with great names, and it's one of the most iconic golf courses in America, and you walk off and sort of realise what you've just achieved. And I don't think the magnitude of winning a major championship hits anybody until they actually do it. You don't realise how important it is in the sport that we all love, how big a deal it is from your peers. Everybody notices. If it's the one thing that everybody notices in golf, you know, the major wins are the sort of pinnacle of everybody's career. So that was a great, great day.
How has your life changed over the 17 years? It's a long time to be together. Well, you must have learnt a lot.
I caddied for 30 years, so my life as a golf caddy continues to roll, and it's very similar. You know, it's hotels, golf courses, you travel a lot, you fly around the world, so that side of things doesn't change. But I think, you know, my relationship with Graeme has evolved over the years, and you know, I'm much more of a sort of sounding board for him now, as opposed to, I don't think that I'm quite as important on the golf side of things as I maybe was in terms of pulling clubs and stuff. I mean, he knows what he's doing, and he's an accomplished caddy in his own right. So I mean, the only thing I want to do is try and stay out of his way, really, on a golf course. But I think, you know, it's very important for him to have somebody that he has huge confidence in, and obviously with the memories of the successes, every time that we get in the hunt to win a golf tournament, he knows he can rely on what I'm telling him, and I try and remain on an even keel, and it's worked out well in the past, and hopefully it'll work out well again in the future. 17
years together, you must have some good stories.
Yeah, I mean, you know, my mind sort of goes back to that 2010 when he was at the height of his sort of playing powers. He was number 4 in the world, I think he got to, when he was, you know, he's competing most weeks. We finished up on the Celtic Man at the Ryder Cup in 2010. We finished up pretty much the last game on the course. The extra day went to a Monday after a rain delay, and we were in the last match, and Monty told us, you there, you're the US Open champion, you're the anchor of the team. And that's great, and he sort of says to me, you know, I can't believe he's put me out there, you know, but I mean, it's second Ryder Cup, and you know, you're ready for it, you've done it, this is your year, pal, you'll be okay. Anyway, we're coming up with the 15th tee, and I think we might have been maybe 1 or 2 up, I can't remember what, I think we were 1 up at the time. He says to me, I'm not sure I can do this. And I said to him, well, you know, you've got to do it. The team needs you, and we're playing Hunter May, and I said, he's nervous too. I mean, look at him, he's nervous too. I said, you've got to do it. He looked at me and he said, well, if you're so confident, why don't you do it? And anyway, we laughed and we carried on. And we got to the 16th fairway, and Graeme hit his drive down the middle, and I was walking down the middle of the fairway, and my head was down, and I'm thinking now, a huge crowd, and I'm thinking to myself, do not mess this up, do not do something stupid. And I looked across, thinking it was Graeme right by my side, and it was Monty, the captain. And he's looked at me and gone, we need you, we need you. And I've gone, oh my God, do you know what's happened? He said, do you know what's happened? And I'm like, Jesus, like we're under enough pressure. And he says, Eduardo Molinari's lost the last 3 holes to Ricky Fowler. It's down to this match. We need you. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure he's trying, Colin, but we'll, you know, we'll get back to you. So anyway, Graeme, it's a great shot into the green. He holds the putt for birdie, and he actually wins the match on the following hole. We're stood by the 17th green, and Hunter's hit his tee shot short of the green, and Graeme's just off the edge of the green. And yeah, Graeme chips up first, and he chips it up to about this far, 3-4 feet, straight up the hill, and Hunter duffs his chip shot. And Graeme says to me, read this putt. read this putt, and Hunter's over his ball. He said, read the putt, read the putt. I said, Graeme, he's going to give it to you. And he said, just read the putt, read the putt. He said, I said to him, I'm just thinking about my next beer. It's all over. And Hunter is his next shot, concedes the putt. And we go down, and the whole green gets engulfed with thousands and thousands of people. And I'm like in the middle of this melee of people, and I walk off the green eventually, you know, the crowds subside, and I walk off, and I've got blood pouring from my head. And I'm like, jeez, because everyone's just jumping on top of us.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, what's happening there? So everyone's like, you okay, you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know I was bleeding. So I got blood, and I walk back to the golf bag, and all the head covers and everything from the golf bag have been stripped. And there's a guy there practicing his chipping with Graeme's lob wedge, because it was at the side of the green that's feel like this. So it's like, it was an amazing story. Like, but thankfully we got the clubs back to the thing, and we did get that beer, so it was okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a crazy moment. It was a crazy, crazy moment.
How are you in those situations, the pressure, the big pressure situations?
I think most guys will tell you that the same thing. We don't want to do anything to make ourselves noticed. All you're thinking about is not making a huge mistake that's going to make you look like an idiot, you know, the 15th club or something like that, and you becoming famous for being the caddy that blew it. So it's just a question of trying to keep your nose clean, really. I mean, it's very much that, and then hopefully they've got the guile to deal with the situation, and Graeme's pretty good under pressure, so that's always been good.
He's had a very good career.
He has. He's a bit finicky about stuff. So the first time I caddied for him, he has a putter cover that's on the golf bag, and I'm notorious for dropping. I drop towels and things. He always tells me I need a GPS and not where's my iPhone, where's my head cover sort of app on my phone. So you know, so I said to him,
part of your role.
Yeah. So I did say to him the first time I worked for him, I said, do you like this head cover? And he looked at me like in a strange way, and I said, because I am going to lose it, you've got to be comfortable with that. And sure enough, I lost it that day. So that was how the relationship started. So he's okay with it now, but sometimes I carry a spare one just so that it doesn't really annoy him.
That's a good tip. I like that. Just have loads, a bag full of head covers. Is there anything Graeme likes you to carry in the golf bag that's unique?
I wouldn't say he's got anything unique, but he has a way of, and I mean, I think most golfers are a little bit finicky. You know, he has a way where the clubs go in the certain slots, and he's not manic about things, but like if things aren't going well and the 7-iron's in the wrong slot, he'll put it back in a way that I know that it's in the wrong slot and things like that. But he's not crazy. He's not crazy mad about that sort of stuff. So it's not too bad in there. He's not a massive sort of, I've got to have this on the 6th hole and that on the, no, so it's okay. But generally he likes me to have the waterproofs and the umbrella in the bag when it rains, which doesn't always happen either. He does get upset when that doesn't happen, because I like to lighten the bag as quickly and as often as I can. Getting old.
And he just forgives you? He's
no,
like,
he doesn't forgive me. But we have to send in, but it's like, you know, it's definitely a touchy subject when I like to risk the weather. I'm a bit of a gambler on the weather.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to lighten
Positive
the load.
thinker.
Lighten the load, yeah.
17 years on the bag, 2 years, coming up to 2 years on the Live Tour. How has the transition been? What have the changes been like for you personally?
Yeah, the Live Tour's been, you know, an interesting transition. It's come at a good time for Graeme in terms of he was in a situation on the PGA Tour where he was starting to find that he had to play more and more in order to remain competitive. And when he's got a young family like he does, that wasn't fitting well with him. So now he can sort of play a more smaller schedule, but also be more intense in the smaller periods. And I think that suits him well. And I think, you know, hopefully this year we're going to see the fruits of him being better prepared and playing less golf and being more up for it when he actually turns up. I think that his commitments on the PGA Tour were nearly getting him to the stage where he wasn't looking forward so much to going to play golf, and now he's definitely looking forward to going to play golf. And when he's looking forward to playing golf, he's in a good mood, and that makes my job 10 times easier.
Definitely,
yeah.
I can imagine.
So that's definitely the bonus. From my point of view, obviously, we have a schedule which is huge. Never before have I had a schedule that I knew in January what I was going to be doing in July and August. And you know, I have family too, and we can plan family holidays and stuff, because golfers generally choose a schedule, but it changes, whereas this schedule doesn't change. They know they're going to play these 14 weeks. Normally a guy will say, I'm going to play the first 3 weeks and then take a week off and then play another week, and then I'll play poorly the first 2 weeks, say I'm not going to play next week, but I'm going to play this week instead. You know, it was always evolving, whereas now it's you know exactly what you're doing from day one, and that's great for us. My family love that.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Get to see you a lot more.
Yeah, we get to see each other a lot more, but also you can plan to do things, which is massive.
Huge advantage. You must be a real good go with the flow guy, though.
Well,
to have 30 years as a caddy.
Yeah, 30 years as a caddy, and I mean, I've had some difficult jobs and some easy ones. I mean, Graeme's a really sort of nice guy to work for, you know, but I've worked for difficult players in the past. Thomas Bjorn and Paul Casey, difficult guys, notoriously to caddy for, very demanding. You know, and I think that stood me in good stead for coming to work for a guy like Graeme and understanding that even though he's easygoing, he still requires and demands a standard of caddying that, you know, we all seek to sort of provide. And it's easy to sit here and sort of say that we give them great advice on the golf course and this, that and the other, but the whole job is evolved now, and it's a massive undertaking. You know, you travel together, your travel companions, your friends, your sounding boards for everything that's going on in their lives. There's a lot of highs and lows in golf, and it's a really disappointing game. So I think most of these guys, when they find a caddy that they can relate to and have good times with, I think they're now starting to, unlike when I first started, I think guys are starting to have longer and longer relationships with caddies, which is a good thing. For
you as well, do you see yourself ever leaving Graeme, or it's a happy marriage?
I think we might see each other off, kick ourselves into the distance under some tree somewhere along the way. But yeah, no, I definitely would like to see out his career now at this stage, and hopefully he'd be the same with me. We've got a lot of water under the bridge at this point, and I think, you know, it'd be lovely to see him win a live event. And I think he's very driven, and I'd be very driven for him to do that too. And I think that's something we're both striving towards at the minute. And, you know, who knows where we go from there. It'd be nice to get back in a couple of the majors again and go play and see if we can maybe give the US Open another run. Cause that's his forte. He likes those difficult golf courses and stuff. So we'll see what it brings. But at the minute, we're happy on the Live Tour, and, you know, it's fiercely competitive. So you've got to play good, and to win an event out here, I'm sure would be a very proud moment for him. So, you know, he's 43 years of age, and I think you've got to be realistic. The game is becoming a power game, and the players are becoming younger and more athletic, and it's more and more difficult for these guys to have the length of career that Graeme's had in the game. Is testament to how good a player he is. You know, careers are going to get shorter, but the standard's continually getting higher. I don't think you're going to see 25-year careers going forward, because the physical demands on the body and stuff are making these guys much more injury prone, and you're seeing that across a lot of the top players. They have great 2- and 3-year periods, and then they fade for a bit. I think that the game is definitely evolving that way. So I'm proud to have been part of a very successful career that spanned sort of almost 2 decades. So, you know, hopefully that'll continue.
What advice would you give to young caddies?
It's very difficult now to make an impression from a caddying perspective, because the information that we're given on a weekly basis is very good, and everybody starts the week with the same information level. So when I first started 25 years ago, we'd arrive and we'd go and look around a golf course, and we'd take notes and get carries and different lines, and it wouldn't all be in the yardage book that we've got, and you'd plan your way around the golf course for your player and what he needed to know, and that would make you stand out as a caddy compared to the guys that weren't prepared to go and do the work on the Monday and the Tuesday and stand there for hours with the yardage wheel and putting
a yardage wheel. Wow,
a yardage wheel.
That
Yeah,
is old school.
There was no lasers in those days. You know, used to throw ropes across lakes and stuff to get and then measure the ropes. Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult to get the information that we've got today. So if you did it, you did stand out, and then you automatically got a good job, because guys wanted those guys that were prepared to go the extra yard. And I think it's actually interesting, most of the guys that now caddy on the Live Tour are the guys that grew up in my generation, where, you know, you've got Glenn that caddies for Sergio, you know, Wobbly's here this week caddying for Richard Bland, and your Jimmy Johnsons and these guys. A lot of the guys that grew up in that era caddying and made the name for themselves, and they still are appreciated by the younger players even today. My advice to the young guys is that you find yourself a good golfer, and you try and do what he wants from you. You know, make sure that you're pleasing him, not yourself. I mean, it's very much, each player has different requirements, but it's very difficult to impress on a player these days, because they have all the information themselves as well, a way of playing a golf course. And I think the game's changed a little bit now. Guys hit driver much more often than they ever used to do. When in Faldo's era, people plotted their way around a golf course, and it was a more chess-like than it is today, where it's a power game and guys bomb driver. When it was a chess game, there was a bit more tactics from a caddying point of view. You know, now I think it's very important that you don't almost create confusion with the players to the point that they don't hit what they want to hit. So you're nearly trying to stay out of their way a little bit more than you were in the old days, where, you know, in the old days you might say, you can't hit driver here, it's too much trouble in play. Whereas today, if they want to hit driver, you let them at it. Whereas in the olden days, it wasn't quite like that. Olden days, I'm not that old.
Ye old days.
The old days, back in the day. I feel sorry for young guys now, because when I came out on tour, if you missed the cut on a Friday, you could pick up a job for somebody that didn't have a caddy on the Saturday and Sunday, and you could carry on caddying for the week. and you'd make yourself a few quid and it'd get you enough money together to go to the following week. It was a travelling circus and it was very difficult to, you didn't make any money, but you survived, and it was great fun as a young guy, hotspotting around Europe, and you know, one week you'd be in Cannes, next week you'd be in Rome, the next week you'd be in Germany, you know, you're all over the place, and it was great fun. And you'd be catching trains, and we'd get to a train station and one guy'd stand and look after all the bags while the other guy goes and finds a hotel. And obviously it's all changed completely since then. Now it's very difficult because most guys come out on tour and they take a college mate to caddy for them, and the opportunities aren't there for guys that want to come out and learn the trade to get these jobs. When I started, anybody that went to the tournaments got a job. Now they didn't all keep them, because they didn't all turn up on time. Sometimes we're really good and you turned up late. But it was easy to get work in those days, and now it's very difficult. And obviously it's a sought after job now. Guys like doing it. When I first started, there was no money in it. It was the love of the game, you did it for it. It was very much that we loved golf and we loved being around it, and the travelling was great fun, and you had this big camaraderie and a circus on tour, and that was great fun. Whereas now it's very much more a profession. And guys take it seriously, as they should, because the money involved is crazy, as we all know.
I'm thinking about it. You've sold it to me.
You'd be a good caddy.
Thank you.
Definitely, definitely.
Well, thank you so much, Ken, for joining us on Caddy Tales, and I've loved hearing your tales.
Well, hopefully, yeah, there's some funny ones along the way, and hopefully there's many more to come.